Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 14th of April, 2022. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, I know I said that I'd be doing a refuel tomorrow, tomorrow being Friday, but unfortunately I don't think I will have time to. I have too much going on and need to get sorted before I fly out to Amsterdam. As you guys know, I'm flying out tomorrow. So just to kind of recap here, because of this, there's probably not going to be a refuel until May 2nd, which is the Monday. I get back May 1st. So yeah, I'm going to try and upload here and there if I can, but there's no guarantee. So I'm just going to say that there's not going to be one. And if there is, it's going to be a nice surprise, I guess. And it'll probably come out at a different time than you're usually used to the refuels coming out at. But I'm so pumped. This is my first kind of like real holiday since before COVID. It's the first time going to a proper ETH conference since ETH Denver in 2020. I'm so excited. So anyway, here's a recap of my plans with DevConnect. These are the days that I'm going to be attending. So I'm going to be at ETH Day for about half of it, and then I have some other commitments to get to. I'm going to be at the staking gathering. I'm actually going to be giving a talk there. Layer 2 Amsterdam, I'm going to be at as well, and I'm going to be on a panel there. TBD, yet hasn't been officially announced, but I'm going to be on a panel there. I'll be at Shelling Point, and I'll be judging the ETH Amsterdam hackathon, and I'll be around at like various parties and things like that, and just around the city. So, as I said plenty of times, if you see me, please do come up and say hello. I would love to meet as many of you as I can. And I'm just, as I said, I'm so excited right now. I can't contain my excitement at this point. But hopefully, there's not many delays at the airport. Apparently, the airports have been chaos, obviously, because it's the Easter long weekend. I didn't even realize that when I was booking everything, and then my fiance is like, we're leaving on Good Friday. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. I just kind of like, I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, oh. So apparently airports are a bit chaotic, but hopefully I get there and all is well and good, but I'm not going to bore you with the details there. So yeah, I guess like after today's episode, I'll see you all in 2 weeks on the refuel, but we can do our goodbyes at the end. For now, there's a few different things I wanted to talk about with regards to the merge. Now, I know I've talked about the merge a lot lately. I spoke about the quote-unquote delay the other day. And the funny thing is, if you had been listening to the refuel, I think it was either 3 or 4 weeks now where I've been saying that I doubt June was going to go ahead. You would have had this alpha before basically everyone. But on top of that, you would know why, right? And the thing is that I remember saying to you guys, if the Kiln testnet went well, if it didn't have any hiccups and everything went smoothly, then that would be the best case scenario, and we would probably get a merge in June. But I did say if there were hiccups, then there's probably not going to be the merge in June. And there were hiccups, and here we are, right? And that kind of like target window of June was originally given because of the difficulty bomb. Basically, what ended up happening was that there was a core devs call a while ago where they kind of like got together and they said, okay, let's aim for June with the merge, because that's when the difficulty bomb starts kind of like going off, and then if we don't make it by then, we'd have to do separate kind of like hard fork. So it wasn't actually a date given for the merge, it was more just kind of like a target window. But I've explained these to you guys plenty of times before. And Tim Byko put out a bunch of points here. I wanted to read through a few of them. So he put like basically a screenshot with a bunch of text saying merge timelines. And then the first question, when will the merge happen? And this is Tim's words. Tim Byko being the person that's heavily involved on the execution ETH1 side as coordination, very heavily involved with core devs. But he says, there is no official date for the merge yet. A date will only be set once client teams are confident that the software implementations have been thoroughly tested and are bug-free. Any date announcement will be communicated on blog.ethereum.org. It's exactly the same thing I've been telling you guys for months at this point, so I don't think that should be news to you. So what needs to happen before the merge? As of April 2022, all client teams have in-progress implementations for the merge, which have been tested by test suites, the launch of new testnets, and shadow forks. Shadow forks run against both existing testnets and the Ethereum mainnet have revealed implementation issues in clients. Teams are now fixing these and regularly rerunning shadow forks to test fixes. And you guys know I've been covering the shadow forks since they've been happening, so again, not news to you. Once clients work without issues during shadow forks, then the existing Ethereum testnets, such as Robston and Gurley, will be run through the merge. An announcement will be made on blog.ethereum.org at this point. Again, same thing I've been saying. Once testnets have successfully upgraded and remain stable, then a time will be set for the upgrade to happen on the Ethereum mainnet. The merge, unlike previous Ethereum upgrades, will not be triggered by a block time. As you guys know, it'll be triggered by TTD, or terminal difficulty value or total terminal difficulty, and then a list of tasks to be completed before the mainnet upgrades can be found here, and there's a kind of like link there. So that's basically from Tim himself. I mean, probably one of, if not the closest people to the merge, so you're not going to get any closer than that at this point. But yeah, I mean, you guys know my thoughts on this, and there was a kind of like tweet today. I can't remember who it was from. Maybe it was from Domothy. Someone put out a tweet that basically said, you know, we communicate the Ethereum roadmap for years. We try our best to educate. We try our best to kind of like get the right information out there. And then Tim Byko says on Twitter in a thread that the merge isn't going to happen in June, and for some reason, like, everyone latched onto that. Like, the media was all over it, everyone was talking about it, and it's like, holy shit! Like, this is just crazy, right? No matter how hard we try, bad information just spreads like wildfire. So that kind of like really annoyed me, and I do get disheartened sometimes. It's not like I'm going to stop educating and going to stop doing what I'm doing, but I get really disheartened sometimes where I'm like, I put so much effort into educating you guys, into keeping up with everything, into trying to spread the right information, and then random people can come along with bad information or negative information, and that spreads just like wildfire, and most of the time it's not even accurate. So that kind of annoys me to some extent, but I'm not going to kind of rant about that for now. There was an interesting tweet here from Jesse Polak, who is building DAOs and is at Coinbase, where he says, the ETH merge is likely the top 5 most complex technical, organizational, and incentive migrations in human history. Not just in crypto, in human history. I'm actually inclined to agree with this. It makes me very mad when people nitpick or attack the teams for minor timeline changes, especially when we're this close and folks are working so hard. Look, I know it's a bit bombastic to say that it's the top 5 most complex technical, organizational, and incentive migrations in human history, but I think that's rather accurate for a few different reasons. Number one, this has never been done before. Never in history has a network or a network of value the size of Ethereum been upgraded from basically what's securing it to another kind of mechanism that's going to secure it. So proof of work is currently securing Ethereum. It's keeping the Ethereum network alive, running, secure, all that good stuff. And we're ripping that out and replacing it with proof of stake. That alone is absolutely massive. Within computer science, within computer engineering, that's absolutely massive. On top of that, we're doing this in a decentralized way. We need all the incentives to be right. There are adversaries out there that will take any opportunity to attack Ethereum, to kind of like attack any of the weaknesses or bugs or exploit anything, and that's why we're doing all these tests. So for people to get mad that maybe the merge happens in Q3 or Q4 rather than happening in Q2 or June or whatever, for people to get like really, really mad about it is honestly astonishing to me. They just miss the forest for the trees. I can kind of like understand why they're mad in terms of kind of like not agreeing with it, but understanding it. And some people actually believe that the merge being delayed means that ETH isn't going to go up, or that ETH's going to go down because of it. And I actually put out a tweet where I said, the people who think that the market is efficient enough to price in quote unquote delays around the merge are the same people who think that the market isn't efficient enough to price in the bull case for the merge. It's just absolutely stupid, right? Like, if you think that, okay, let me put it to you this way. Let me kind of like simplify this. If you're buying ETH today, and one of your reasons for buying ETH is because of the bull case for the merge, and you believe that it's not priced in yet, that's why you're buying today, because you expect a return on your investment. But then you also believe that any delays for the merge is going to lead to a sell-off of ETH or bearishness for ETH. How do you reconcile that? Because if you believe the market is efficient enough to do the latter, then you should believe it's efficient enough to do the former, but you don't. So when I see this kind of thing, people complaining about price, this is all I think about. And it really just speaks to the fact that, I mean, there's a lot of people in crypto who have absolutely zero patience, right? Like, just basically nothing. There's probably a lot of people who have bought over the last year and haven't really seen anything, any return on their investment, unless maybe they bought like in a low 2000s or anything like that. And there are plenty of people out there who get their information from the worst kind of sources. So again, I understand why it is like this. Not that I think it, not that I agree with it, not that I think it should be like this, but it is because of those reasons as I outlined. And the merge itself, coming from a kind of perspective around what it's going to do for the price. Look, guys, it's not like the merge is going to happen and then ETH is going to double, triple, quadruple in price instantly. That's not how it works. The merge is going to happen. right? It's going to happen. There are people out there who think it's not going to happen at all, which is crazy. I was reading some minor threads on Reddit recently, and they actually think that it's not going to happen at all. And it actually amazes me that they think like this, because then it actually explains the fact that the hash rate is going up and the hash rate is at all-time highs, because people are investing in mining equipment with the thesis that the merge isn't actually going to happen. Absolutely insane to me, but it is what it is. But it is going to happen. And then once it happens, who knows how long it's going to take the price to go up, right? Who knows how long it's going to take for ETH to get to like 10K, 20K, wherever else that we all think it's going to go. Like the timelines are hard. Like, I'm always long-term fundamentals-based investor, and I actually thought of something today, and I was kind of like thinking through, because as I said yesterday, I kind of want to do a video on what I look for when I kind of like invest in things in crypto, and I'm probably going to do a separate video for that when I get back from Amsterdam, obviously. But I was kind of thinking through, and I'm like, okay, what makes a good investment in crypto? Like, what makes ETH different from other things? Take away kind of like a lot of the fundamentals in terms of kind of like driving demand. How does it stop ETH from going down less than other things out there? And I think there's two major reasons. One, obviously, ETH is a much bigger asset, right? So to move it in both directions is harder. But I think secondly, and what plays out over the longer term, is that fundamentals, rather than acting as a demand driver, act as a cushion for when the price is going down or the price is not going up and just going sideways. And what I mean by this is that if you're an ETH holder and you're a long-term investor, you will look at what's happening while the price is going down, and you'll look for reasons to keep holding, right? Like, I mean, if you've been in it for a while, maybe you don't do this, but I know a lot of people that do this. They'll look for reasons to keep holding. Well, you have a million reasons to keep holding right now, right? Like, you have the merge is a big reason. You have everything happening with layer 2s. You have 1559 burning and attracting value from that. You have staking and things like that. I mean, there's a million different reasons to hold ETH, and different fundamental reasons to hold ETH, and to not panic sell or to not sell your ETH and to hold for the longer term. So I think that fundamentals definitely act as a cushion and kind of like dampen the downside volatility. Upside is driven by a bunch of different things. Over the long term, I think that fundamentals definitely play a role, but I think that they play a much stronger role in cushioning the fall rather than leading to those spikes in demand and that extra kind of like buy pressure on ETH or on crypto in general. So anyway, I'm going to talk more of that sort of stuff in the standalone video that I want to do there. But yeah, I mean, I've spoken about the merge enough. I think at this point, you're not going to hear about it for probably 2 weeks now. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Hopefully these next 2 weeks are good. I think they will be. I mean, it feels like these next 2 weeks are pretty critical in terms of like shadow forks and test nets and all that sort of stuff surrounding the merge. People are going to be together in Amsterdam. They're going to be working together as well. And there's going to be a lot happening there. There's going to be a lot of people talking about this sort of stuff. So I think that taking all that into account, yeah, next 2 weeks are going to be very, very fun around Ethereum itself and around the merge, of course. All right, so something that I forgot to cover the other day, which I followed for a while on the Refuel and then it went quiet, was Virgil Griffith's case. Now, for those of you who don't know, Virgil Griffith was kind of like, I guess, what did he do at the Ethereum Foundation? He was kind of like in charge of special projects at the Ethereum Foundation. And a few years ago, I think it's like 2 to 3 years ago at this point, he basically broke, or I guess like went against sanctions, went to North Korea and did a presentation on how North Koreans could evade sanctions using Ethereum. Now, obviously, this is not something you should be doing. Obviously, he kind of got, because he did it in the open, the United States did not like this, and they brought a case against him. Now, today, or I think it was yesterday or the day before, he was sentenced after, I think it was 2 years or something of a kind of like process here, and he was sentenced to 63 months in prison for helping North Korea with crypto. That's what's said here. And both Griffith and the prosecutor cited the Ukraine war, Virgil saying it showed him the importance of sanctions, US urging deterring evasions. And then this guy here kind of like put together, I think, another thread where he was talking through the whole case. But yeah, that's what's basically come of it. Now, I don't know the exact details of like if this includes time served and stuff like that. This is over 5 years, by the way, 63 months, guys. It's not a short time. And someone like Virgil, like I met him only once, and I met him in early 2019, and he was so friendly and such an awesome guy. Someone like him in prison doesn't belong in prison, in my eyes. I don't know what prison he's going to be in, but I don't think someone like that belongs in prison. But that's just my kind of interpretation of that there. And if you don't know who Virgil is, here's a picture of him if you kind of like don't remember there. But yeah, it seems like this, I guess, is this chapter is kind of like ended here. We got the sentencing for Virgil, and you know, I don't know what the exact details are. There's also a $100,000 fine, of course, but I don't know if there's kind of like plea deals or not plea deals, kind of like appeals process and stuff like that later down the line. Not totally sure on all the details, but that's basically what has come of it. So unfortunately, I think that's what people kind of like expected. He basically, I believe he took a plea deal. I believe he pleaded guilty in order for a lighter sentence. But obviously, the US wants to make an example here and wants to deter anyone else from trying to kind of like teach the people under sanctions how to evade them. I'm not going to opine on, you know, world politics, sanctions, war, all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to kind of like give coverage to this because, as I said, I still consider Virgil a friend, even though I only met him once, but he was a light in the Ethereum community and still is. So hopefully once he's out of prison, you know, who knows how long that'll be. Maybe it's the whole 5 years. Maybe he comes out before that. As I said, don't know the exact details here. Hopefully he's kind of welcomed back into Ethereum with open arms and he can continue doing what he was doing. I would love to see that personally. All right, so a interesting chart here from DataAlways where they said, quick tease of my next writing, looking at the surge of supply inflows when Ethereum unlocks are finally enabled. For now, enjoy a possible acceleration path with the CL ticking up and liquid staking de-risking deposits. So you can see here, I mean, it's a kind of a quite complex chart here, but my read is basically what it's showing is a kind of like DataAlways expects the validator count until unlock to just keep going up, right? And I mean, it can only be up only because of the fact that you can't withdraw your ETH right now. But he's kind of like plotted it out here to show kind of like a consistent kind of trend. And then you can see he has plotted hopeful merge and hopeful unlock on the date. So the merge between July and October, and then hopeful unlock between Jan and April of next year. And then he's also got the churn limit in terms of kind of like the validator queues and stuff like that. So yeah, this is an interesting chart. I think the validator queue, I don't think it's at 14,000. I think it came down. It's at 13,000. But I mean, it's still been hovering around there. It's actually quite crazy. Like I'm looking at the Beacon Chain website right now. 343,000 validators and basically almost 11 million ETH staked on the dot there. And there's more than that coming because of the pending validators. So I think that, and I think DataAlways' comment here about liquid staking de-risking deposits is actually very important because a lot of these new ETH deposits going in are going in via services like Lido and Rocket Pool because of the fact that they issue you this derivative token RETH and STETH, which you can go use within DeFi and do whatever else you want with it. So you basically still have liquidity on your ETH, even though it's in this kind of like one-way bridge to the Beacon Chain right now. I think that's definitely driving a lot of this, and it's important to realize that. But people often kind of talk about, won't that dampen kind of like the demand for ETH and dampen the effect of a locked up ETH? I don't think so, because these staked ETH deposits, they need liquidity with ETH to have a market, right? Because right now they're only really one-sided market. If there's a bank run, it actually becomes pretty bad. And I think we've seen this with Lido before, where there was a mini bank run, or at least there was a large amount of ETH withdrawn from the curve pool, and then there was an imbalance. And this is simply because that ETH that exists in the Beacon Chain right now can't be withdrawn. So it's kind of like the STETH, you do have a claim on that ETH when it is able to be withdrawn. But if you wanted to get out now, you have to go through the various liquidity pools on Ethereum to trade your STETH for ETH. And this is what all these derivative tokens will always be like. They're always going to have to be backed up by ETH. And if they're not, if there's like a bank run, well, what ends up happening is that demand for ETH goes through the roof because people want to get out of their staked ETH token into ETH, and they have to trade to do that. And then demand goes through the roof. It's the same thing with most derivatives. And I think a lot of people don't realize how derivatives work. But I don't think it's going to dampen demand for ETH. And I don't think it's going to dampen kind of like the effect of locking up ETH in staking. That's for sure. All right, so Georgios from Paradigm shared a new research post today titled Hardware Acceleration for Zero-Knowledge Proofs, and he's captioned it by saying, as zero-knowledge proofs become more integrated into L1s and L2s, the opportunity for ZK mining could grow to a size similar to that of proof-of-work mining. FPGAs, not ASICs or GPUs, are the best answer to meet the unique compute needs of ZK rollups. So I'm not going to read through this blog post, obviously, but you can check this out. I've mentioned this before, how I said that I think that miners and people who have been kind of like doing hardware related stuff should very much be looking at this, because zero knowledge proofs, the bottleneck from what I understand right now is actually computing the proofs. And this obviously requires hardware to do, and the better hardware that you have, the easier you can compute the proof, but obviously it costs money to do this. So what Paradigm is making a bet on here, or at least what Georgios is kind of like making a bet on, and what I am too, is that we're going to have like a massive hardware industry blossom around zero knowledge proofs. And I don't think it's going to be as intensive as something like proof of work is. It's definitely going to require some powerful compute, but I don't think it's going to be as intensive as proof of work. And this kind of like acts as a lifeboat for all those miners, especially in Ethereum, who basically are going to be left in the dust once we do the merge, right? Literally from block to block, they're going to be left in the dust there. So they should be looking at this. If you are a miner, if you know miners, you should definitely be looking into this. Definitely give Georgios' blog post a read for an overview of that. But I think that as more people come to realize that this is an actual opportunity, as these L2s these ZK L2s issue tokens, and then they can pay out those tokens to the people running the hardware, it's going to get quite lucrative, I imagine. So we'll have to see how it plays out, in practice. But in theory, it seems like it's going to be quite a lucrative kind of like endeavor. And there's going to be hardware manufacturers that actually get spun up around this specifically, just like we've seen ASIC manufacturers spin up to produce ASICs for, proof of work networks and things like that. So definitely go give this blog post a read if you want to learn more about that one. All right, so the Rainbow extension is going to be launching this summer. It will support all browsers, and as I say here, it's extra drippy. So you can see here, this is the preview of the extension of the Rainbow wallet extension. Obviously, if you've been using Rainbow mobile wallet on your iOS or Android device, you would be familiar with them. Very nice looking wallet, very cool looking, very awesome way to view your NFTs. As you guys know, I'm not a huge mobile wallet user, but Rainbow is definitely one of the ones that I have installed, and I like using it from time to time, even just to watch my addresses and things like that. I do enjoy using it, but yeah, it seems like this is coming soon. Launches this summer. This summer being Northern Hemisphere summer. My pet peeve is people using seasons to refer to times of the year, because summer for me is not middle of the year, it's end of the year. But yeah, this summer, so June, July, August. So we get the Rainbow extension in June, possibly instead of the merge. But that's a trade-off, right? It's an equal trade-off. So I mean, they say here you can kind of like enable a bell on or alerts on the GitHub repo for maximum alpha to see when this is going to go out. So this is funny. It's Taylor Monahan mentioned here, your GitHub is literally empty except for a 5-month-old emoji. I was so excited to have someone take some of this market share, but like what? I think this is done on purpose, right? I think they're going to kind of like release all the code once it's ready, sort of thing. So that's fun. But yeah, you can kind of like enable alerts here if you want to do that. But cool to see Rainbow making movements on their extension here. All right, so I talk about signing with Ethereum a lot on the Refuel. As you guys know, I think it's one of the most bullish things to happen within the Ethereum ecosystem, and one of the most exciting things being worked on. WYC.eth put together a great thread today about signing with Ethereum and how it's the first step to unbundle the login. So WYC starts by saying, today, identity providers such as Google, Facebook, or Apple manage the entire logging experience, but so much more can be unlocked by unbundling, user control, data sharing, and faster innovation. I've talked about this kind of stuff before, obviously with user control and kind of like data sharing and bringing your profile across different kind of like web services and stuff like that. And you can see here a nice little image that says Web 2 on the left, big logins such as Facebook and Google. And then you have Web 3 on the right, which kind of like splits up these things into key-based user authentication using your wallet, obviously your Ethereum wallet or other network wallet, public network transactions such as read-write of on-chain data on all the apps that we know and love, and then signing in with Ethereum and Web3 login in read-writing off-chain data. And you can do this with all kinds of services out there, all kinds of Web3 services out there. In this thread, WYC continues and kind of like breaks down each of these a bit more here, and they work at Spruce ID, which is actually working closely with the sign in with Ethereum team and building this whole thing out and building the kind of like widgets that are needed and stuff like that to get this kind of like ubiquitous across the web. So yeah, definitely give this thread a read. I'll link it in the YouTube description for you to do so. But you guys know I'm super excited about signing with Ethereum and just like, as WYC says here, unbundling the login. I think that's a really, really cool thing. I think it's a really cool thing that's not financial thing. Like, I love that. And obviously, it has financial implications, but I love that it's not DeFi, it's not NFTs. It's like pure Web3, true Web3 stuff that's actually going to lead to better outcomes for users. All right, so there's been a lawsuit, kind of like, I guess, a class action lawsuit lodged against Uniswap Labs from someone who, and you can see here, YettyWapp summarizes this by saying, the plaintiff first used the exchange being Uniswap, in May 2021, and first learned, May 2021 was the market peak, guys, last year, the first time. I guess, like, technically the market peak was November, but May 2021 was crazier. But yeah, May 2021 was the peak, and first learned about Uniswap around that time. Plaintiff incurred substantial losses on her transactions in connection with each of the tokens. And the tokens, I don't know if I can bring this up because this is quite a lengthy thing, but the tokens that she bought were literally like scam shitcoins, like absolute, just like, I think it's here, yeah. Here you go, Ethereum Max, scam, right? That was an actual scam. Rocket Bunny, Boombaby.io, what else is there? Matrix Samurai. I don't even know what these things are. And she's blaming Uniswap Labs for her losses due to this. Now, I don't know who took this class action on. Like, is there a law firm kind of like labeled here? This is just insane to me. This is such a waste of time. Like, she's not going to win, or whoever's lodging this, they're not going to win because, I mean, for a number of reasons, right? Like, Uniswap Labs didn't tell her to go trade these things. They don't control the Uniswap smart contracts, right? Anyone can list markets on there. It's all decentralized. And it's just, I feel like the judge is going to say this is a complete waste of time. Like, what are you even what are you even doing here? Like, you made an investment decision. You decided to put your money into it. You can't just go and sue someone because your investment didn't work out. Like, it's just so stupid, right? I'm laughing because, like, I'm just thinking through how silly this is and how someone actually got it seems like someone got a lawyer to kind of like take this case and kind of like sue Uniswap Labs over this. I don't think anything's going to come of this. I think Uniswap's going to fight this and basically win. I don't think there's going to be any kind of like settlements or anything like that because it's just such a stupid thing here. And you can see here, the amounts invested are so small as well. Holy shit, I hadn't seen this. What the hell? So the amounts invested, guys, it's like $31 in Ethereum Max, $141 in Ethereum Max, and there's multiple transactions. She bought it on 15th of May, the 30th of May, the 2nd of June, the 3rd of June, the 16th of June, and the 29th of June. And each time she seems to have kind of like increased her money. She put like a couple of $1,000s in here. What the hell? Like, I'm so confused. I'm actually so confused. I think the total, it goes down here. I think the total might be less than $10,000 or maybe $10,000, something like that. And she's suing over that. Wouldn't it cost her more money to do this unless she was able to find a law firm that would represent her in this case and that would actually take this on as kind of like no win, no charge as well, which seems very odd, but I guess it happens. I mean, there are ambulance chasers in the law world, and that's the term to use to describe kind of like law firms that do this. But yeah, this is just crazy. She's suing over this, and you can tell these are all kind of like those scam coins because look, in Rocket Bunny she put $95 and it got her 1.9 trillion tokens. It's those tokens that like have this huge supply to make the price look really cheap to fool noobs into buying, and obviously she was fooled, and now she's trying to blame Uniswap Labs for this. I don't know. I'm laughing too much at this. I'm not going to rant anymore. I'll link this in the YouTube description so you can go read it for yourself. But I think that's going to be it for today's episode. So yeah. Reminder again, guys, I probably won't be doing one for another 2 weeks, so I guess I'll see you guys in 2 weeks from today. I'm gonna try and upload before then. It may not be a kind of like full refuel. Maybe it'll just be an update from me at Amsterdam on my phone or something like that, where I kind of like talk about my experience, what I've been doing, and stuff like that. And hopefully you guys can catch some of my talks. You can check out all the schedules if you're not going to be at DevConnect, or even if you are, you can check out all the schedules on the DevConnect website and to see what's going on there. It looks like it's going to be an amazing conference. So obviously I'm very much looking forward to it. But on that note, I think that's going to be it for today. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all in a couple of weeks. Thanks everyone.